everybody. Welcome to the Watchung Booksellers Podcast, where we bring you conversations from our bookstore's vast community of book professionals who talk about what they do for the love of books. Thanks for joining us. I'm Catherine, and I'm here with my co-producer, Marnie. Good morning, Marnie. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. And today we are sharing a recording of a great event we held last month with Mona Awad for the release of her latest book, We Love You, Bunny.
We Love You, Bunny is the follow-up to Mona's hugely successful Bunny, which became a cult classic. Mona was in conversation with Laura Sims, who has written 2 fantastically dark thrillers of her own and has been on the podcast a couple of times now. And she has another book coming out next year called The Man. We can't wait to have her back in the store for that release.
Yeah, she's great. Just a good friend at the store and been so interesting on the podcast and was really interesting in this conversation. Before we get started, let's do a quick recap of what we're reading. What you up to, Marty?
Well, I am reading Detransition Baby by Tori Peters, getting ready for the New York Times Best 100 Books of the 21st Century book club that's happening in the store on Monday, November 24th at 7 p.m. And if you still have time to register, if you'd like to join us, we'd love to have you. And you can register on our website. How about you? What are you reading?
Well, I was kind of finishing a couple of novels that I had started and stopped and started and stopped. And so after I finish a novel, I always feel like I have to go to short stories. So I just picked up a book of short stories by Jamaica Kincaid, who I really haven't read in a long time. I think I read her when I was in college in a African-American women's lit class. And haven't read a lot since then. So it's great. The first story I picked up is maybe her most famous, Girl. And it's just so good. It's so good. And so I'm digging into that. And it's really nice to do some short stories.
Great. Okay, let's introduce our authors. Mona Awad is the best-selling author of the novels Rouge, All's Well, Bunny, and 13 Ways of Looking at a Fat Girl. She is a 3-time finalist for the Goodreads Choice Award, the recipient of an Amazon Best First Novel Award, and she was shortlisted for the Giller Prize. Bunny was a finalist for a New England Book Award and was named Best Book of 2019 by Time, Vogue, and the New York Public Library. It is currently being developed for a film with Bad Robot Productions. Margaret Atwood named Awad her literary heir in the New York Times Tea Magazine. She teaches fiction in the creative writing program at Syracuse University and is based in Boston.
With her today is Laura Sims. Laura's third novel, The Man, is due out from Putnam in July of 2026. Her novels, How Can I Help You? And Looker have been on best books lists in the New York Times, Vogue, People Magazine, Entertainment Weekly, Real Simple, Publishers Weekly, and more. An award-winning poet, Sims has published 4 poetry collections. Her essays and poems have appeared in The New Republic, Boston Review, Lit Hub, and Electric Lit. She lives in New Jersey, where she works as a part-time children's librarian.
Enjoy the talk, and we'll be back after to fill you in on what's coming up in the store.
So I will just set it up for those of you who don't know. So Bunny is a New England campus novel about a clique of very privileged MFA students, these women who call each other Bunny and who conjure hot men out of rabbits in ritualistic off-campus workshops. The story is told from the perspective of Sam Mackey, who is an outsider student. She hates the bunnies, but she gets sucked into their boy-making cult in spite of herself, and then it gets weird. That is Bunny. We Love You, Bunny is a prequel and a sequel, but I maintain that you can also read it without having read Bunny. I maintain that. And it takes place 2 years after they've all graduated. Sam has written a novel called Bunny about her experiences in the MFA. The bunnies are pissed. They kidnap her while she's on book tour. They tie her up in an attic, and they proceed to tell her how she got them all wrong. So I'm just going to read from like the opening. I'll read from Cupcakes section, which is towards the front. Okay. Hi there, Bunny. Remember me? So clever of you, truly, to reduce me to a baked good. So funny that you described me as a maniacal hair braider. Or what was it again? A child of the corn going to prom? I'm not going to comment further on your novel. We agreed to not. Except to say that when I perused it during a rehearsal break, I'm back in theater now, by the way. Oh, it's very lucrative. I laughed until I cried blood. So funny how you let your imagination just run away with you like that. How you really don't know anything at all about me or us or even like reality, really. I'll just hang on to the axe while we talk. Is that okay with you? I'll just get a bit closer to you physically also. So you can see my dress up close, the color of dreamy skyscapes tonight. Smell my lemony sugar smell, which I know turns you on a little, Bunny, don't deny it. In your novel, which I won't mention again ever, you even said you wanted to eat me when you first saw me, didn't you? I knew that. Could sense your hunger, both writerly and sexual, from the start. Could see it in your crazy eyes, through your bitchy hair curtain, black as night, and it explains so much. It's why I didn't take any of your lies about me or your very bad prose personally, not at all. I took it instead as a very elaborate, yet ultimately crude fan fiction. Let me get even closer to you now so we can whisper, just you and I, if need be. So you can look right into my anime eyes while I set some things straight, as it were. About how it all started, Bunny. Before the boys, before the axe, before the magic of this attic was made known to us, before we were even made known to one another. I actually fought to be the first one to tell because, believe it or not, and on this point we sometimes disagree, it all began with me, actually. Yes, me, Coraline. It began with me, Coraline. What a Herculean effort she made to disguise my real name, by the way. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Wow, that voice just swept me up from the minute I opened the page. Mona Awad has given us another novel in the Bunnyverse, and it is totally extraordinary. I was mesmerized from beginning to end. I also laughed out loud more than I have laughed reading a book, maybe ever, certainly in a long, long time. And Mona just has this incredible gift of being able to write gorgeous. She has this gorgeous style. But she is, plumbing the depths in terms of her thinking and her expression. But she also pairs that with hilarious satire and so many rich genre pleasures. So this book has all of that, and you're very lucky that you're about to read it, or if you've already read it. It's very exciting. So I'm so honored to be here. Mona's one of my dearest friends, and I'm just thrilled to be here to celebrate We Love You, Bunny.
Yeah.
My first question for you is, did you conceive of another novel in the Bunnyverse when you were writing Bunny, or even right after? Where did this come from?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And honestly, and I don't think, we hadn't yet met when I was working on Bunny. I think we met just when I had sold it. And you had sold your first book around the same time, 2017.
Yep,
Right?
2017.
Yeah, no, I didn't even think I would finish Bunny. It was so scary to write it. It was so new to me, just working in that kind of style where I was incorporating the surreal. Because my first book, 13 Ways, was very realistic. Working on Bunny was so terrifying. It was exciting and very compelling, but it was terrifying. I didn't even think I was going to pull it off. I was only thinking, can I finish this book? Can I actually get away with this?
Right.
My first agent didn't even want it. Didn't even like it.
Right.
So I thought it was never even going to see the light of day, honestly. Which was, I think, part of the reason why I grew so attached to it. Because I wrote it, I finished it in the headspace of this won't get published. You're only writing this for yourself because you care about this.
Right.
And so it kind of became a friend in this really intense way.
Yeah.
So when I turned it in, instead of being happy, I was sad.
Yeah.
Because I lost it.
Right.
I lost this friend. And so I immediately missed it, immediately longed to return to it. Got over that eventually.
Yeah.
Wrote All's Well, wrote Rouge. Missed those books too, and learned that that's kind of just part of writing.
Right.
Definitely for me, but I think for you too, right? Yeah, you have that. And so around that time, I think I still didn't miss those books the way that I missed Bunny. I
Yeah.
was still being kind of called back. And around that time that All's Well came out, but just before Rouge came out, readers were starting to find it online and to tag me. And my US publisher wrote me and they were like, it's selling and we don't quite know why. We're trying to figure that out. We'll let you know. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, it was just starting to have this unanticipated life with readers. And it was readers who gave me permission
Yeah.
to return. But I had longed to return from the minute that I turned it in because it was those bunnies.
Right.
They were calling to me.
They were calling to
Yeah,
you.
they
as
were
they
calling.
called to Sam.
Yes,
You
exactly.
could not resist their call.
I couldn't. Yeah.
And how did you figure out how to follow up a book like Bunny? Like, how did you figure it out? I was thinking that the whole time I was reading it. How did she do this?
Yeah.
Was it hard?
In some ways it was. Like the actual writing wasn't hard, but conceiving of the frame
Yeah.
was at first kind of threw me because I knew what I wanted to explore. I knew I wanted to explore the bunnies in this book. I wanted to explore how they came to be this cult, how they came to uncover their power, the story of their first creation, which all takes place before Sam shows up. Really, like in their cult.
She's,
Yeah.
in it a little bit.
Just peripherally, right? In the first year. So that's the story I knew I wanted to tell. However, I was starting to write it and I was like, yeah, but who are they telling the story to and why? Why are they telling the story of how they came to meet and be friends and all of this? And then I realized, oh yeah, no, they're telling Sam because she wrote a book about them. Of course she did. And they're pissed. Of course they are. And the minute I realized that it would be moving forward in time, but also back,
Yeah.
that's when I had the energy and the kind of direction for telling. Because I knew, oh yeah, they're telling the story to her to prove, to dispel
Yeah.
the bunny narrative.
That she has written.
That she has written, that they are villains, and that she is the real artist.
Right.
In this version, what they're trying to present is no, they are the artists, and she is the villain. Yeah. So
And we won't say how successful they are.
no, we can't say that.
Conveying that.
Yeah, that's up to the reader.
Oh my
But
gosh.
that was when I kind of realized I had something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did the bunnies are so fascinating when you get close to them in this book, as you do. Like they are, in some ways one being,
Right.
and in other ways they are individuals. Like, how did you distinguish their voices? And you really do.
Yeah, that was like
That was tricky.
That was tricky. Yeah, at first it was super tricky. It was so intimidating that I started writing it as a we.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, they're just going to speak as a group,
Right.
And the reader will kind of be free to determine who's really talking. But then I
Okay.
was like, no, that doesn't work. This is the true pleasure of this book will be to drop down into each girl's consciousness.
Right.
And that was the like, at first it was the initial challenge for me, but it was also the temptation of the book. So I was like, no, you've got to do it. You've got to drop into their heads and see what you can find.
Right.
And I'm so glad I did. It was actually the minute I dropped down into Cupcake, and she was the first, she called the loudest. It was such a joy. I realized, no, I do know them.
Yeah.
I was telling the story from Sam's perspective in Bunny,
Yeah.
so I didn't have the opportunity to drop down.
Mm-hmm.
But it was all there in Bunny, and I just didn't know.
Right.
Once I dropped down into their voices, I kind of knew them, and it came quite instinctively. And I felt very fortunate. But I also think it was just Bunny had planted the seeds
Yeah.
early on. And the great thing about doing the individual voices that I quickly discovered is that, of course, they're going to undermine each other.
Right.
Because collectively, they may have an agenda to correct Sam's impression.
Yes.
Yeah, we're great artists.
Right.
But individually, they want to make
Good
a claim they're responsible solely for the magic. I'm the one
Right.
that causes the bunnies to turn into boys, Bunny,
Right.
not you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It creates so much tension and drama.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be as much as if it were just against Sam.
That's right. Yeah, they
really
had to be
brilliant.
against each other.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Do you have a favorite? Is it Cupcake?
Yeah, absolutely. Because she's the most delusional one, and I enjoy that. And also, she has like a violent streak. She
Yeah.
has a razor blade in her dress pocket, but she's also deeply vulnerable.
Yes.
And I kind of love that about her.
Yeah.
She wears her heart on her sleeve
Yeah.
in her delusion.
Yeah.
So that's really fun as a writer to occupy that kind of mind. Yeah.
I think that the Duchess is my favorite.
Oh, I love that you love her.
I know.
Yeah. She still
Not
scares
surprising.
me.
Yeah, she's scary.
She's mysterious. Yeah.
I feel like I was going to ask you, are there fan favorites? I feel like it's a personality test, right?
Yeah.
Which bunny do you love the
Yes.
most?
Yes.
Since you started, like as you were describing, since you started writing this after Bunny had become this sensation, did you feel pressure as you were writing? Because by that time, Bunny had taken on a life of its own, had very devoted fans.
Yeah.
Like, how do you, as a writer, put that aside while you're writing?
Oh, it's so hard.
Yeah.
It was almost impossible. And I was actually kind of warned, even by my agent. He was like, this is kind of sacred territory. Like, in terms of the reader already has a relationship to this world.
Right.
But I made so much fun of her the minute I could inhabit the bunny's perspective of how she might appear. Deeply antisocial, very brooding.
Oh, yes.
I'm an outsider, it's funny.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's funny.
So funny.
Even though when I was with her in Bunny, I was like, no, this is the truth. Like, this is it. This is the reality, So it was just fun to see things from the other side. And then it's the same thing with writing. I care about it so much, but I can't help but laugh at all of us at the same time, because we're crazy. I mean, there's even a line in Bunny, I'm not a psychopath, I'm a fiction writer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I really identify with that.
Yeah. That's right.
And also inhabiting the world of an MFA program through the eyes of a creation.
Yeah.
Just inhabiting the eyes of a creation surrounded by writers who want to revise him made me see myself and us as monsters.
Yeah.
Which we are.
We are.
We can be. We're so single-minded in trying to make this thing. It's really intense, a writer's relationship with their work. You can get really kind of single-minded and violent about it in your mind.
Yeah.
You're killing darlings.
That's
you're cutting
right.
scenes. You're killing people. Right? And so, I wanted to literalize all of that.
Yeah. You did.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And since you introduced the topic of Arius.
Yes.
The character that she's talking about, who's sort of a Frankenstein's monster character.
This is him right here.
There he is.
In Bunny form.
In Bunny form. Yeah. But he is like my favorite character. One of my favorite characters I've ever read. I love him so much. His innocence and his perspective on this bananas world of the creative writers. I mean, whenever he's with the poets, it's amazing.
Fun. Yeah.
And I was wondering, was Mary Shelley's Frankenstein saw your bag
That's so cool.
on your mind when you were writing?
Oh, yes.
Was it an inspiration? Yeah.
The whole structure of Frankenstein was useful because it's sort of the story of a creator and then the story of a creation. And your idea about who is the monster completely shifts once you get the creation's perspective, which is so wonderful that she gives us that. It always moves me every time I read it, like getting to hear from the creation's perspective. It's beautiful, and he's so misunderstood.
Yeah.
It's very moving. I also love the structure of that book, that everybody is telling somebody their story. I use that in We Love You Bunny too.
Right.
Everybody is recounting to a particular person
their perspective.
That's right. And it's a kind of performance.
Yeah.
Right? Because of that. So I really actually took a lot from that structure. But the thing that I love the most is that, the creation's perspective on being created changes our whole idea of the ethics of creation. So inhabiting Arius's perspective was honestly probably my favorite thing that I've done. down.
Yeah.
Creatively. I fell in love with him.
I did
still
too.
am. Yeah,
He's
I love
amazing.
him. Yeah.
Amazing.
He's
Yeah,
wonderful.
you're in for a treat with that too. And I wanted to ask too, like, why do you think that Bunny or the Bunnyverse in general has resonated with readers so much, and it
Yeah.
continues to do so and build and everything? What do
Yeah.
you think it is?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I'm grateful that it does.
Yeah.
But if I had to guess, the one guess that I have is that it really does try to occupy and report what it's like to feel like you don't belong. And you don't belong and you long to belong, and those things are competing. Because feeling like you don't belong is hard, but at least you're with yourself and you know who that is.
Right.
The minute you begin to compromise that in order to belong, you lose yourself.
Yeah.
Which is what Bunny explores. So I think that is something that we all feel in our lives
Yes.
at different points in our lives.
Yeah.
Feeling like an outsider, feeling lonely, living in the world of your imagination,
Yeah.
maybe living there a little too much.
Yeah.
But also recognizing that's a beautiful place,
Right.
right? Maybe that's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I'm thinking of Rouge and this new novel now, but you are, and fairy tales. I know you're really influenced by fairy tale.
Yeah.
And just, you're so interested in the transformational power of art and like rejuvenational power of art.
Yes.
Either making art or like absorbing somebody else's.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little too?
Yeah. I think I knew Bunny was going to involve fairy tales because you're right. I love that. That's the thing about fairy tales I love, is that they promise the possibility of change to people who are usually powerless to change their circumstances. They offer that possibility. And they usually too will show the shadow side of that there's always a cost to change.
Right.
Change, it doesn't come without some kind of sacrifice. All of my books explore that longing to be maybe something that you're not, or to have something that you don't, which we all experience. And you get the thing,
Right.
but then what happens to you,
Yeah.
right? Who are you now is kind of the thing. But the thing that I love that fairy tales do is that they use magic to explore that through that idea of transformation. And to me, creativity is always still magical. Like, it's still mysterious. I still don't understand how it works. So many of my biggest revelations that have led to the conclusion of my books have felt like accidents.
Right.
I was just like, Jesus Christ, if I had paid attention in class that day, I wouldn't have discovered this thing about Ava.
Right.
Like, it's like that.
It's like received knowledge.
It's like received knowledge, yes. And so because I see it as magical, I had to use fairy tales and that transformational thing that they do to explore creativity. I think that's why it's in there. And I think that part of the reason why it's in Rouge is because Rouge is also sort of dealing with that. This character, the main character in Rouge, is kind of longing to be a different person.
Right.
And the fairy tale darkly offers that chance. And she takes it at her own peril.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that explains some of the universal appeal of all your books too, is that like elemental, fairy tale dream world that your books inhabit.
Yeah.
That are, yes, fantastical on some level, but like deeply real, deeply meaningful, and open too, like you said. Allowing room for the reader.
Exactly. Yeah, those symbols, I think, kind of allow you, they allow us to sort of understand without having to be explained to.
Yeah.
Like, we know what those symbols mean. They kind of can hold a lot of meaning.
Yes.
Like the mirror, in Snow White, which is used in Rouge. It's kind of a magical portal. And red shoes. Yeah.
Like those amazing shoes.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't want to take up all the space. I want to leave time for people, but I do have a couple more questions, and then we'll take some audience questions.
Great.
So I've been hearing rumors.
Rumors, really, Laura.
I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah.
You've been so busy that I haven't heard this from you, but I've seen it in your social media reels, that there might be a third bunny book
Yes, there will be.
in your brain. Yeah. Just one more, okay?
Yeah, there's officially one more, and it happened super organically as I was writing the second novel. And I was deep into it, deep into We Love You, Bunny. I realized, oh my God, okay, there is one more. Because I was trying to write it into this book, and I was like, no.
It's too much.
It's its own book. Of course it is. It's too big.
That's very exciting.
Yes.
Oh my
There's
gosh.
one more book.
That's very exciting. Yay.
And the bunnies have said so too, because they're appearing again.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And quickly also, can you just tell us a little about what's going on with the adaptation for
Yeah, absolutely. So, so Bad Robot acquired it. They're like the third production company. It's been optioned 3 times. Hopefully, third time's a charm, but it's really looking like it is. There's a script and there's an actor attached and a director attached and getting money together for it. So I really actually think it's moving forward.
Oh,
which is
that's
great.
amazing. It's in development now.
It is
right?
officially in development.
It's
yes.
amazing when you can say that.
When you can say that part. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Mona.
Thank you, Laura. This was amazing.
Any questions, comments, accolades?
Hello.
Hello.
So my question is, when I talk to authors and I ask, do you have a playlist or a song that usually gets you going?
Mm-hmm.
With this book, was there, did each bunny have a song that got you in their headspace?
Yeah, I mean, there is a playlist for We Love You, Bunny. It is 69 songs long. That is a
Love
very
that.
intentional number. It actually ends with the Book of Love by the Magnetic Fields.
Okay.
So yes, each bunny, I don't know if they each have a single song. They have a vibe. And the vibe is a constellation of songs and sounds, each one. I will say The Duchess, it's Kate Bush, but it's like not one Kate Bush song. I feel like it's the whole of Kate Bush. If I had to pick one song, I would say it's Sat in Your Lap, which is a song I think on the Dreaming. And then very quickly, I will say Cupcake is definitely Good Luck Babe by Chapel Room. That's definitely her song. Yeah,
100%.
That is absolutely her song. I feel like Vignette is Chaise Long by Wet Leg. That's her song for sure. She's always on a chaise long in Bunny, so it works. Creepy Doll, I feel like she's more like the Harps, She's like Mary Lattimore. Like, she's very ambient, She likes the fairy tale sounds. Yeah.
Do you listen to music while you're writing?
It's very weird. So for Rouge, I listened to the same 2 tracks over and over again when I was writing, and they were both without lyrics. They were ambient tracks by Tangerine Dream.
Okay.
And I had my playlist with lyrics that I listened to when I wasn't writing. With We Love You, Bunny, I was so into it that I could listen to the lyrics. So I would listen to particular songs when I was working on particular characters. Like Arius had his own playlist that I listened to. If the Duchess was speaking, I would play particular songs. Yeah, so yes.
That's cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a great question. Thank you. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah?
Right.
I just recently wrote Bunny, in August.
Oh, nice.
The thing that I didn't completely understand was, do you want to define how the magic happens, how it works?
It's a great question.
And I don't know if that's going to be revealed, but that's just something that I never understood.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that?
Yeah, sure. No, that's the answer. Don't worry. I understand. But the answer is no, I don't want to. And that's part of why I love the surreal and why I love fairy tales is because the magic is a given, right? It's just it's accepted as part of the experience of being in this world. You're accepting talking animals and creepy mirrors and red shoes that, drive you to walk to certain places. And it's just part of the landscape. So I love putting the reader in a familiar world and then using these kind of surreal things to sort of not necessarily suggest that we're in an unreal world, but that we're in the headspace of somebody for whom this might actually be a really meaningful thing. Like the mirror might actually reveal something about what's going on inside of them. The fact that the red shoes are leading them somewhere might say something about their desire and their dread, right? As opposed to necessarily like explaining, well, the shoes are, made this way for this reason. It has more to do with the character. All of these symbols are just holding the character's desires, anxieties, and then leading them certain directions in a way that feels magical. But I feel like if you explain that, it takes it away. Yeah, it takes away the mystery of it, which to me is really important to preserve. Yeah.
Hi. Big fan of everything you've written. My question is, it kind of piggybacks off the last question.
Sure.
I've noticed like in a lot of your work, sometimes I have questions, sometimes I don't, sometimes I get an answer, sometimes I don't, and I'm totally okay with that. My question is for you, how do you know when to explain and when to not? And like, what is that like happy medium that you find that works for readers?
Yeah, that's also a great question. I have a constraint that I actually try to stay pretty loyal to, and that is that thus far in my novels, I write in the first person. I'm usually inhabiting the perspective of a character. So I feel like I can't report what they don't know. Do you know what I mean? I can only report the world as they see it. So sometimes it might be up to another character to fill in if I really feel like the reader might be lost. So I'll do that. But if there's a surreal element that the character is grappling with, they don't know. So they can't never explain it. So I have to what I try to do instead is report it as specifically as I can. So if the reader believes that they're there, and there might still be a mystery around it, but they at least believe it. Like that's what I want. Be there and believe it and have a stake in it and have it feel real to you. And the degree to which it can be explained is only the degree to which the character understands it. Yeah. Thank you. Hi.
I just want to know, because I noticed you kind of keep circling this idea of cults in your novel.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm really curious why and
Why?
And what is it about cults that you're fascinated by?
Yeah. I really don't know. Honestly, that's the honest answer. But I do think it probably comes from a couple of things. One is that I am really afraid of groups. Like all groups scare me. I never know how to navigate myself in a group. I never know what to say. It always feels like the group has a life that I'm outside of. So they're frightening. And that's part of where Bunny gets its energy, as Sam is outside this group that seems magical to her because they get along and they're nice to each other. And she's like, what's wrong? What's going on? I don't understand.
There is something very wrong.
And there is something, that's the thing, right? She thinks there's something wrong and there is. There is something wrong. So she's correct. But I also think that the promise of the cult is so enticing to anyone who is vulnerable and alone or powerless, because the cult promises a home, a sense of belonging, but you have to pay with your soul, So like that anxiety that kind of all horror taps into, I think, is that fear that you will lose yourself. The cult says, oh, you can belong, but you have to lose yourself to belong. And so I think I'm fascinated by cults because I have that fear that I think we all have of like losing your sense of who you are. Yeah. Thank you.
Are there any particular cults that you find
Fascinating.
fascinating?
It's the cults that they don't think they're cults.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the ones that are the most terrifying to me. Like all fitness people. So much. Skin. See, the whole world of skin and beauty is that's a cult.
Right.
And I find them terrifying, but I'm enchanted. I'm vulnerable to that.
You're very vulnerable.
Yeah. So I was buying the products. I mean, as Lauren Eckenpour knows, is a great writer in the audience. She was like, yeah, you should write about this. So, yes, I will. I will write about it. But yeah, I think especially the ones that don't call themselves cults, or no cult calls themselves a cult, but you know what I mean, a group.
Yes.
They're the most terrifying. Yeah.
Hi, thank you so much for having this. I love all of your books. And I really appreciate hearing about how receiving knowledge in your day-to-day is magical for you and seeing all the bunnies and everything. I am curious what your writing process is like, if that's something you would share, or
Yeah, sure.
like day-to-day or when you're writing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just seeing that bunny there. Okay, I don't know if that was on purpose, but it's cute.
Not for nothing, but it's also funny right there.
Where?
There's one over there too.
The Mickey
Now I
foot.
don't. And now you're-
Okay, awesome. The place next door is called Rabbit.
Oh my goodness, I was meant to be here. So yeah, my writing process is actually pretty monkish and sort of boring a little. The only way that I know, once I have the idea takes a minute. And usually it's like two things coming together, coming together suddenly, and I realize it's the same thing. Like for example, All's Well. I knew I wanted to write about chronic pain because I'd lived with chronic pain, and I felt like there wasn't any fiction about it. But there's so many people who live with chronic pain every day, and so it felt like I want to write about that. But then I also had this other idea about a theater director who was going to put on this play, and was so dedicated to a particular reading of it, this comedy. And then I realized they were the same person and that it was one book. That took a minute for it to click. But then once I have the idea, I'm pretty very, very strict about getting it in one go if I can. So I'll set aside a period of a few months or weeks if I only have weeks, and I'll just have a word count, and I'll wake up every day and I'll just write for hours. And then when I'm done writing, I'll usually go for a walk. I'll listen to music. I'll have revelations about the book as I'm walking, and then in the evening, if I'm really into it, I'll do another session. And that's usually how it works. That's how it worked for We Love You, Bunny, and that's how it worked for Rouge and for All's Well. For Bunny, I was much less certain of myself, so I would have these incredible spells, and then I'd be like, oh God, I'm so stupid. I've got to stop. And to be quite honest, that happens with every book. I have that, I'm so stupid, it's so dumb, oh my God, I'll never figure it out. I have those moments all the time. And then Kate Bush comes and she helps me. She rekindles courage. But that is usually how it goes. And then I write that first draft, and I have to be very permissive about it. It can suck. Laura and I have talked about this. I have to let it suck. It's really true about the shitty draft. You just have to let it suck. And then the second time around, the revision, that's when I really get layered and nuanced about it. But all I'm trying to do in that first draft is just capture a feeling, a voice, a sense of life, and just follow it to its end. Mm-hmm. So that's how I do it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Hi.
So going off of kind of the Bunny initial theme of being an insecure writer, how did you find the courage to, you cover some very dark subject matter and everything you write, which I love.
Yeah.
How did you find the courage to be sort of unpleasant write things that make people uncomfortable and might make you seem like I don't think you're a bad person, but reading it speaks to the things in me that I'm I feel like this makes me a bad person.
No, I know what you're saying. So how did I find the ability to do that? If I'm being completely candid, I was really afraid of writing All's Well, for example, because I knew it was going to be about pain. And I was going to be this is going to be heavy for me. I don't know if I can do it, honestly. And then I realized it was going to be funny. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I know how to write it, because it's going to be funny. And it is, even though it is deeply painful, the funny allowed me to go deeper than I think if I had tried to just be serious. It actually allowed me to be more truthful about some of the more absurd things about just moving through that world with doctors and stuff. If you take a step back, it is very darkly funny how no one understands your experience of pain. Nobody can understand it but you. And so that's always helped me. Humor's always helped me. Humor and fantasy. So when I was working on 13 Ways, which is a very realistic set of stories that sort of tell the novel of one girl grappling with body image, those stories are pretty realistic. But they're there are dreamy parts that let me go kind of deeper. And with one story, I will always remember My Mother's Idea of Sexy, which is just a story about a mother and a daughter having dinner. I wrote it in a very realistic way, and it just was not working. I would just try it again and again, and it still felt like this isn't telling the truth. And then the minute I started bringing in a sense of fantasy and play and leaning into their fantasies, the truth of these two women and their dynamic together just opened up for me in a whole new way. Like, it just became a more honest story once I incorporated the fantastic. And that's why I think my subsequent novels have used the surreal, because I think it's a powerful way to tell the truth, the darker parts of the truth. So yeah, fantasy, humor. Yeah. Thank you.
This has been so wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and thank you.
Thank you, Mona and Laura, for celebrating the launch of We Love You Bunny with us. And thank you to all of Mona's dedicated bunnies who came out and brought their A game to this event. Listeners, you can find Mona's and Laura's books and any other books mentioned on our website and in our show notes.
This Thursday, November 20th, we're excited to host New York Times cooking food writer and video series host Vaughn Vreeland to talk about his new book, Cookies. He's going to be in conversation with Montclair Local's Mary Connolly, a.k.a. Marie Fromage.
We're winding down our events for the year, but gearing up for a lot of holiday action. The day after Thanksgiving, you won't want to miss our annual Festivus Friday. And that weekend, we will be having Small Business Saturday and Sunday sales. Also on Sunday, we are hosting another Watchung Booksellers Podcast pop-up recording. This time, we want to hear what your favorite books of 2025 were. We love our listener recommendations and want to know what you loved in 2025. We'll be in the Bon Voyage space from 10 to 2, so stop by and give us your recommendations.
You can get details and tickets for all of our events, story times, and book clubs through our newsletter, show notes, or at watchungbooksellers.com. The Watchung Booksellers Podcast is produced by Catherine Council and Marnie Jessup, and it's recorded at Watchung Booksellers in Montclair, New Jersey. The show is edited by Catherine Council, and original music is composed and performed by Violet Muika. Research and show notes by Caroline Shurtleff. Thank you to the staff at Watchung Booksellers and the Kids Room for all their hard work and love of books.
And thank you for listening. If you enjoy the show, please like, follow, and share it. You can follow us on social media at Watchung Booksellers. And if you have any questions or ideas, you can reach us at wbpodcast@watchungbooksellers.com.
We'll see you next time. Until then, for the love of books, keep reading.